Okay, these are your notes for solving and graphing one-step inequalities using addition and subtraction. This is Chapter 8, Stop 2, Pit Stop A. Alright, so solving one-step inequalities using addition and subtraction is almost identical to solving one-step equations, which you did in Stop 1. The only thing that's going to be different is figuring out the inequality symbol and graphing. That's the only thing we're adding to it. So we're going to follow basically the same steps. So step 1 we know is to cut it in half. Step 2, isolate the variable or get the variable by itself. Step 3, in order to isolate the variable, we're going to use the inverse operations, okay, or opposite operation to solve. And then step 4 is we were used to bringing an equal sign down when we're doing equations, but since we're doing inequalities, when we're adding or subtracting, we're just going to bring the inequality symbol down to our answer. And this will change a little bit for multiplication and division, all right? But for addition and subtraction, we're just going to bring that inequality symbol straight on down. And remember, what we do to one side, you must do to the other. Okay, whatever you do to one side, you must do to the other, because we got to keep those balanced. So let's come down here to our examples. We're going to solve the inequality, and then we're going to graph it. Okay, so step 1, cut it in half. Step 2, isolate the variable. So we need to get x by itself. Opposite or inverse operation of adding to would be subtracting. Do that to both sides. My 2's cancel. I'm left with x, and 4 minus 2 is 2, and I'm just going to bring that inequality symbol straight down. So x is greater than 2. Just brought my greater than symbol down. X is greater than 2. So alright, so let's go ahead and graph this. Let's do it with orange. Okay. So I'm going to put my circle on 2, and it's going to be an open circle or not colored in because its x is greater than 2. So I want all the numbers greater than 2. It doesn't equal 2. All right, so x is greater than 2. So all the numbers greater than 2 would be this way on the number line. Okay, remember your arrow should point the same direction as your inequality symbol. They're both pointing that way. And that's all you do. Okay, number 2. Y minus 3 is less than or equal to 1. So we're going to cut it in half. Isolate the variable. So the opposite of subtracting 3 is adding 3. We're going to do that to both sides. My 3's cancel. I'm left with y, and 1 plus 3 is 4. And just bring down your greater than or equal to symbol. So I've got y is greater than or equal to 4. So let's go ahead and graph this. I'm going to have a circle on 4. Wow, I realized I just was saying greater than or equal to. Silly me. It's less than or equal to, so sorry, y is less than or equal to 4. Less than or equal to, good job Clickman. Okay, I hope y'all caught that. So y is less than or equal to 4 is how you say that. So I'm going to put my circle on 4, and I want everything less than or equal to 4. So since it could equal 4, I'm going to close my circle in, create a closed circle, and I want everything less than that. So less than is this way on the number line. Those are all the numbers less than 4. Okay, remember your arrow on the end of your line should point the same direction as your inequality symbol. They're both pointing to the left, okay, for less than. Number 3. Cut it in half. Isolate the variable. So the opposite of adding 8 is subtracting 8. Do that to both sides. My 8's cancel. I have m, and on this side I have 6 minus 8. Well, I'm going to need to add a line and change the sign. So now I have 6 plus negative 8. 6 plus negative 8. My signs are different. Okay, I'm going back to those integer addition rules. My signs are different, so I'm going to take the difference. The difference between 6 and 8 is 2, and I have more negatives, so that's a negative 2. So I've got m is greater than or equal to, I just brought down my symbol, negative 2. All right, let's go ahead and graph this. So I'm going to have a circle on negative 2, and I want everything greater than or equal to negative 2. So since it could equal negative 2, I'm going to close it in. And I want everything greater than that, so that's to the right on a number line. All these numbers are greater than negative 2. Remember, your arrow should match your symbol because you both point the same direction. Okay, number 4. I'm going to cut it in half. I'm going to isolate the variable. So I want to make this minus 5 go away. So I'm going to add 5 to both sides. My 5's cancel. Okay. I have negative 3 plus 5 here, negative 3 plus 5. Well, my signs are different, so I'm going to take the difference. The difference between 3 and 5 is 2, and I have more positives, so that's going to be a positive 2. So 2 is less than t. Now, when you go to graph this, that could get a little confusing, all right? So we need to make sure that we write this where our variable is first, like we have over here, where our variable is first. So I'm going to flip this around. So I have t is greater than 2. Notice, if I flip the order of the inequality, I need to make sure I flip my symbol to match. So if I look here, the alligator is eating the t, so when I rewrite this, I need to make sure that my alligator is still eating the t. Alright, so this is my final answer, just rewritten a way that's going to help us graph it. So 2 is where my circle goes. I want everything greater than 2, so it does not include the number 2. So that's an open circle, and everything greater than that. Okay? So remember, your arrow and your inequality symbol should point the same direction. Okay, next one, number 5. My first step is going to be to cut it in half. Isolate the variable. So the inverse of adding 7 is subtracting. Do that to both sides. My 7's cancel. All right, I've got 4 minus 7. So I'm going to add a line, change the sign. So now I have 4 plus negative 7. Well, my signs are different, so I'm going to take the difference. The difference between 4 and 7 is 3. And I have more negatives than I do positives, so it's a negative 3. So I've got negative 3 over here. I'm going to bring down my inequality symbol, and then I've got r. But there we go again, it's backwards, so I need to flip it around to write it with the variable first. So I've got r. Okay, on this inequality, my alligator's eating the negative 3. So when I flip it, I need to make sure that my alligator's still eating the negative 3. Okay, so r is less than negative 3. Let's graph that. Put a circle on negative 3. I want everything less than negative 3, so it does not include negative 3, so it's an open circle. And everything less than that is going to be to the left. Okay, remember your arrow should match your inequality. They're both pointing the same direction. Last but not least, 5 minus b is less than or equal to 10. Okay, so let's cut it in half. All right. Now I need to isolate this variable. All right, so I want to make this positive 5 go away. And I know you're going to be tempted to look at this and say, but that's minus 5. But guys, we don't read right to left, we read left to right. So that is a positive 5. If it were negative, there would be a negative sign in front of it. So in order to make positive 5 go away, I'm going to subtract 5. My 5's cancel. I'm left with minus b is less than or equal to, and 10 minus 5 is 5. Okay? So, this is a really bad example, and I don't want to do this. So I am going to scratch this, because you can't do this part, because that's in the next stop. So, really bad example. Let me rewrite this. 5 plus b is less than or equal to 10. Let's do this one. Okay, so cut it in half. Again, that's a positive 5, so the opposite of a positive 5 is a negative 5. So we'll subtract that from both sides. So I'm left with positive b, or b, is less than or equal to 5. Okay, now let's graph that one. So I'm going to put a circle on, these are the wrong numbers. Now that I change things, look at me go. Let's go with 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9. So I'm going to put a circle on 5. I want everything less than or equal to 5. So color that in, because it could equal 5, less than or equal to. And I want everything less than that. Remember, your arrow and your inequality symbol should point the same direction. So these are our notes on solving one-step inequalities using addition and subtraction. So really the only thing that's different from equations is that we're graphing it now.